He was born a slave. He had no freedom of movement, no rights, no property. At some point in his life, his master, a cruel man, broke his leg, deliberately, to see if he would cry out. He didn't. He looked at his master and said calmly, "You are going to break it." And when the bone snapped, he said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" That man was Epictetus. And he went on to become one of the most influential philosophers in all of human history. His words shaped emperors. His ideas are still taught in military academies, therapy rooms, and boardrooms today. A broken leg. A life of captivity, and he became free in every way that actually matters. How? That's exactly what today's video is about, because we all face hard times. Not slavery, perhaps, but loss, failure, humiliation, grief, pressure, betrayal. The question is never whether darkness will come. It always does. The question is, who are you when it arrives? The Stoics, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca faced every kind of adversity imaginable. And they left us a precise, field-tested guide for how to walk through it with your mind intact, your character uncompromised, and your dignity completely your own. 7 lessons, 2,000 years of pressure-tested wisdom. Let's begin. The Stoic relationship with suffering, it's not what you think. Before we get into the lessons, I need to address something directly, because there is a version of Stoicism that has been twisted into something harmful. That version says, suppress your pain, don't feel it, be tough, move on. Real Stoics don't cry. That is not Stoicism. That is emotional suppression, and it causes serious damage. Here is what the actual Stoics said about suffering. It is not that I am brave, it is that I know what deserves fear and what does not. Epictetus, the Stoics did not deny pain. They did not pretend tragedy wasn't tragic. Marcus Aurelius grieved the deaths of his children. Seneca wept. Epictetus acknowledged the weight of his captivity. What they refused to do was allow suffering to become the author of their identity. They allowed grief to pass through them without letting it build a permanent residence inside them. The core distinction there is a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is the unavoidable reality of loss, difficulty, and hardship. Suffering is what we add to pain through our judgments, our narratives, and our resistance to what is. The Stoics accepted pain. They refused to manufacture additional suffering. That distinction, simple as it sounds, is the key to everything that follows. Because once you truly internalize it, you realize that much of what you call suffering is not the hard event itself. It is your story about the hard event, and stories can be rewritten, not through denial, through wisdom. Let's learn how. Marcus Aurelius wrote a sentence that has stopped many people in their tracks when they first encounter it. It sounds almost absurd the first time you hear it. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, let me translate that into plain language. The obstacle is the path forward. The thing blocking you is the thing that will teach you, grow you, and ultimately move you. Not around it, through it. This isn't motivational rhetoric. This is a practical philosophy that Marcus Aurelius used while commanding an empire through plague, war, betrayal, and personal loss simultaneously. Here is how the Stoics operationalized this idea. When something blocks their progress, they asked one question immediately. What does this obstacle require of me? Not, why is this happening to me? Not, when will this end? Not, is this fair? Those questions are quicksand. They pull you down and drain your energy without producing anything useful. What does this require of me? That question puts you back in the driver's seat. It converts passive suffering into active navigation. Identify the obstacle clearly. Don't catastrophize, don't minimize. See it as it actually is, a specific, bounded problem, not evidence that the universe is against you. 2. Ask what it demands: patience, creativity, courage. Humility, a different approach. The obstacle almost always contains its own answer if you're willing to look at it honestly. 3. Move through it, not around it. The Stoics were deeply suspicious of the habit of avoidance. Every time you go around a hard thing, it grows larger in your imagination. Every time you go through it, it shrinks. History is a long record of people who turned their greatest obstacles into the source of their greatest strength. Not because they were superhuman, but because they refused to let difficulty be merely a setback. They made it a teacher. Your practice this week: write down the biggest obstacle you're currently facing. Then write this question at the top of the page. What does this require of me? Don't answer immediately. Sit with it. Come back to it over several days. The answer that emerges will be more useful than any advice I could give you. Equanimity under fire, the art of the unshakable center, there is a word that appears throughout the writings of the Stoics, but it is rarely discussed in modern conversations about Stoic philosophy. The word is equanimity. Equanimity is not the same as calmness. Calmness is the absence of disruption. Equanimity is stability in the presence of disruption. It is the eye of the storm, still, centered, clear, while everything around it churns. Marcus Aurelius was a master of equanimity. During the Antonine Plague, which killed millions across the empire, including members of his own family, he continued to govern, continued to journal, continued to practice. Not because he didn't grieve, but because he had built something inside himself that chaos could not reach. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. How do you build equanimity? Not by hoping you'll feel calm when things get hard. You build it the same way you build any strength, through practice before you need it. The Stoics had 3 specific methods. In any moment of agitation, before responding, pause, 1 full breath. The Stoics called this creating space between stimulus and response. That space is where wisdom lives. Be the view from above. When overwhelmed, mentally zoom out. Imagine the situation from a great height, your city, your country, the planet, the cosmos. Most of what feels catastrophic at ground level becomes proportionate from altitude. See the return to the body, ground yourself physically, feel your feet on the floor, breathe slowly. The Stoics understood long before modern neuroscience that the mind and body are one system, and that physical stillness supports mental clarity. Seneca wrote something I find endlessly useful in difficult moments. He observed that most of what we fear never actually arrives, and that much of our suffering is, as he put it, more in imagination than in reality. The storm in your mind is almost always louder and larger than the storm in your life. Equanimity is the practice of refusing to make the mental storm worse. You cannot stop difficult things from happening, but you can stop being a hurricane yourself in response to them. That restraint, practiced daily in small moments, is what produces an unshakable character over time. The honest mirror, seeing yourself without flattery or self-pity, one of the most dangerous habits of the human mind in difficult times, is the habit of distorted self-perception. It usually goes in one of 2 directions. Either we blame everything on ourselves, catastrophic self-criticism that paralyses and destroys, or we blame everything on external circumstances, a refusal to look at our own contribution to the situation we're in. The Stoics called for something entirely different. They demanded radical honesty with no direction of distortion. They called it seeing things as they are, not as we wish they were, and not worse than they are. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change. I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. That quote reveals something profound about Marcus Aurelius's character. He actively wanted to be corrected. He was not defensive about his mistakes. He was hungry for clarity about them, because he understood that self-deception is always more expensive than painful truth. The Stoic practice of the honest mirror has 3 elements. Ask the hard question. In any difficult situation, before assigning blame anywhere, ask yourself, what is my role in this? What did I do or fail to do? Where could I have acted differently? Not with cruelty, with genuine curiosity. 2 separate facts from interpretations. I made a mistake is a fact. I am a failure is an interpretation, and a deeply destructive one. The Stoics were obsessed with this distinction. Facts inform, interpretations can imprison. 3. Seek honest counsel. Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of having one person in your life who would tell you the truth. Not flatter you, not coddle you, tell you what they actually see. That person is worth more than 100 admirers. Here's the paradox. The more honest you're willing to be with yourself about your own shortcomings, the less power those shortcomings have over you. It is the things we refuse to examine that rule us from the dark. It is the things we look at clearly that we can finally change. The honest question, think of a difficulty you're currently experiencing, a conflict, a failure, a situation that's not going well. Ask yourself this one question and sit with the answer honestly. What part of this is within my influence, and what have I been unwilling to see about my own role in it? The practice of patience, enduring the long game. We live in a world that has developed a profound intolerance for waiting. We want answers immediately. We want results now. We want problems to resolve on our timeline, and when they don't, we interpret the delay as failure, as evidence that something is wrong or that we are wrong. The Stoics had a radically different relationship with time. They understood from hard experience that most of the best things in life require duration. Character is not built in a week. Wisdom is not achieved in a seminar. Recovery from true loss is not completed in a month. Endure and preserve yourselves for better things. Virgil, cited approvingly by Seneca, who was exiled from Rome for 8 years, separated from everyone and everything he knew, wrote some of his most powerful letters during those years of waiting. He didn't treat exile as wasted time, he treated it as a different kind of work. This is the Stoic conception of patience, not passive endurance but active waiting. Patience that is engaged, that is learning, that is preparing. Not gritting teeth and surviving, but using the time of difficulty to become someone who will be ready for what comes next. Reframe the waiting period. Instead of "I'm stuck," ask, "What is this period making available to me that speed would not?" Difficulty forces depth. Delay forces reflection, not always, but often, to focus on process over outcome. The Stoics were entirely process-oriented. They evaluated themselves not by what happened, but by how they behaved while it was happening. Did they remain disciplined, honest, virtuous? That was in their control. 3 measure in seasons, not days. Marcus Aurelius governed Rome for nearly 2 decades, through crisis after crisis. He didn't measure progress by the hour. He measured it across years. That long view gave him proportionality that reactive thinking never could. I want to say something directly to anyone watching this who is in the middle of a long, exhausting difficulty, a struggle that isn't resolving, a situation that hasn't turned yet. The Stoics would not tell you to simply smile through it. They would tell you, keep going with your character intact. Don't let the duration of the difficulty become the reason you abandon the values that define you. That is the only real way to lose. Anchoring to values, your internal compass when the world goes dark, when everything external becomes uncertain. When the job is gone, the relationship has collapsed, the diagnosis has arrived, the future is suddenly opaque. The most dangerous question a person can ask is, who am I without this? Because the answer most people have built is external. Their identity is their role, their title, their relationship status, their achievements. And when those things are taken, suddenly or slowly, the person inside them feels like they have nothing left to stand on. The Stoics built their identity on something that could not be taken. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, values, not achievements, values. Not reputation, character. Not what you have, who you are and how you behave. That is the Stoic foundation. And it is the only foundation that cannot be demolished by external events. Here is how you apply this practically, especially in difficult times. 1. Name your 3 core values. Not 5, not 10. The 3 that, if you lived them fully every day, would make you proud of who you were regardless of outcomes. Write them down, not ambitions, values, honesty, courage, kindness, discipline. Choose yours. 2. When in crisis, return to the question, what would a person who holds these values do right now? Not what would make you feel better. Not what would make the pain stop. What would a person of integrity do? That question will always produce a clearer answer than emotional reactivity. 3. Evaluate your day by alignment, not achievement. At the end of each day, the Stoics did not ask, what did I accomplish? They asked, did I live in accordance with virtue today? This small shift changes everything because it puts the measure of a good day inside your control. Marcus Aurelius had every external measure of success available to him, and yet he kept returning in journal entry after journal entry to the same question. Am I behaving rightly? Not, am I winning? Not, are they impressed? Am I behaving rightly? That anchor held him steady through everything. It can hold you steady too. The discipline of speech, what you say in hard times defines you here, is something nobody talks about when they talk about Stoicism in hard times. What you say out loud to other people and silently to yourself during a period of difficulty is one of the most consequential choices you make, and most of us make it entirely unconsciously. Epictetus placed the discipline of speech among the most important of the Stoic practices. He observed that careless speech has 2 primary victims, the people who hear it and the person who speaks it. First, learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. In difficult times, we are especially vulnerable to 3 forms of harmful speech, a catastrophizing speech. Everything is ruined, nothing ever works out for me. This always happens. These are not descriptions of reality. They are generalizations that cement a false and damaging narrative into the mind, your mind. Be venting without purpose. There is a difference between processing pain with a trusted person and simply spreading it. The Stoics were careful about this. Speaking pain indiscriminately doesn't release it, it amplifies it, and it buries the people who have to hear it. See complaint as identity. When the story of your difficulty becomes the primary story you tell about yourself, when your wound becomes your introduction, you have allowed the hard thing to colonize your identity. The Stoics resisted this with everything they had. The practice is simple, though not easy. Before speaking about your difficulty, ask, is what I'm about to say true? Is it useful? Is it kind to myself and to the person who will hear it? Seneca wrote that we should spend as much time in silence as in speech. That in silence, we hear what we actually think and can examine whether those thoughts are helping or harming us. One practice for one day, notice every time you speak about your difficulty. Ask yourself after each, did that expression move me forward or did it keep me stuck? Did it serve the person listening or did it burden them? Over time, this awareness changes not just what you say, but what you habitually think. Returning to simplicity, the refuge the Stoics always came back to. I want to end with something that I think is the most underrated wisdom in all of Stoic philosophy. When life becomes overwhelming, when the difficulty piles up and the mind is exhausted and even the practices feel like too much, the Stoics had one consistent recommendation: return to the simple things. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, commander of armies, judge of millions, wrote this in his private journal: confine yourself to the present. Direct yourself to proper human being. Be content with little. Think of how much less people managed to get by with and were no less happy. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, not achievement, not ambition, not legacy. The present, the small, the simple. Seneca's letters are full of this: his joy at a garden, the pleasure of an honest conversation, the satisfaction of a simple meal. He was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. And he kept returning again and again to the recognition that the complicated life was not the rich life. In hard times especially, complexity becomes the enemy. The overwhelmed mind cannot hold everything at once. And it doesn't need to. The final practice when you are at your limit: don't try to solve everything. Instead, go outside, drink water, eat something simple and real, speak to one person you trust, sleep. These are not distractions from your problems. They are the foundation from which problems can actually be faced. The Stoics knew you cannot build anything on an exhausted, starved, isolated mind. Restore the foundation first. The Stoics were not searching for a complicated life. They were searching for a true one, filled with what actually matters, stripped of what doesn't. In every difficulty, they found an invitation back to that truth. So do you, the close, still here. Still standing, 7 lessons from the people who stared into darkness and refused to become it. The obstacle is the way, equanimity under fire, the honest mirror, the practice of patience, anchoring to values, the discipline of speech. Returning to simplicity. These are not ideas, they are tools, and like all tools, they only work if you pick them up. You don't need to be in crisis to use them. But if you are in crisis, if you're watching this because something has broken or is breaking or you're afraid it will, then I want to say something directly to you. The Stoics were not superhuman. They suffered as you suffer. They doubted as you doubt. What they had was not immunity from pain. They had a practice, a daily return to what they knew to be true about themselves and about what actually matters. That's available to you starting today, starting with one lesson, the one that reached you. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. If this video found you at the right moment, share it with someone who might need it. Until next time, keep going.